TIFU by not closing the incognito tab after watching porn. This is the most embarrassing and worst duck up of my life. So I'm a 17-year-old guy and today I was masturbating and watching porn in my room. I usually use incognito mode because I don't want that thing in my timeline. So as I was watching and eating my meat, my phone started ringing and it was my dad's call, and my dad wanted to talk to my grandpa, but his phone was switched off, so he called on mine. The video paused automatically when the call came. I didn't close the tab because after searching for a lot of time I got a good video to watch. So I just switched it from incognito to the normal one and went to hand over the mobile to my grandpa so that he could talk. I was waiting beside him till he was done talking to my dad because I had almost reached the climax before my dad called me. The call got over and my grandpa was about to hand over the phone. The video started playing even though I had switched the tab, and this was not the starting scene where they talk, it was the orgasm one where the woman was moaning at the top of her lungs. This all happened in the kitchen and along with grandpa, my mom, grandma, aunt and cousin were present. Everybody was shocked and turned red. I immediately took it and closed the tab, and after that my mom snatched the phone from my hand and grounded me. Now I'm sitting in my room and everything is confiscated, my phone and my PC till the 13th street of May until my exams get over. Now I'm writing this with help of my old laptop which was in the closet for a long time. Also I have to face my dad at night. Wish me luck cause this laptop is also gonna be taken away cause my dad knows about. So take away advice for my fellow teenagers who are reading this. No matter how great the porn video is or how much time you spent searching for it, remember to destroy every single evidence of it if your family is like mine. Too long didn't read. I didn't close the incognito tab where I was watching porn and everybody in my family heard the orgasm of pornster, and now I am grounded. If this is the worst duck up of your life so far, I'd say you are doing fine. I had ducked up much worse by the time I was 17. Do share please. Okay, since you all seem to be curious, when I was 15 I started experimenting with marijuana. My 13-year-old brother caught me smoking and basically blackmailed me into getting him high as well, or he had tell my parents. Yes, I know, it was a bad decision to give weed to someone that young. But I was 15 myself, and at the time my parents busting me was the worst possible thing I could imagine, so I felt like I had to. Over the next 2 years my interest in marijuana blossomed into an interest in other drugs like mushrooms, morning glory seeds, LSD, pain pills and cocaine. I was never addicted to hard drugs or did them regularly, and weed was always my main go-to, but I definitely was experimenting with harder stuff and being more adventurous with those kinds of things. By the time I was 17 I was smoking marijuana every day and experimenting with other drugs on a fairly frequent basis. I had gotten some pot seeds and was growing weed under my bed. I had also ordered a mushroom grow kit from the Netherlands and was growing psychedelic mushrooms in my closet. Sometimes I would share the mushrooms with my little brother, who was then 15, but never any hard drugs with him. I also was experimenting with DXM and tripped on quercetin SP with my little brother a few times. I was regularly doing stupid stuff that only a 17-year-old would think is okay to do, like eat mushrooms before going to work and having a terrifying and difficult experience only to feel like the king of the world after successfully getting through a shift without anyone finding out. I was an avid reader of Around and read all of Timothy Leary's works and was just really into changing my head in general. My parents had busted me with weed several times by then, and they knew I had those inclinations, but did not know the extent. My parents also busted my little brother and told him they would start drug testing him. I think they may have once or twice, but that was it. One night, my little brother wanted to celebrate getting good grades for the most recent semester, but did not want to smoke weed since he was worried about my parents testing him. I had the bright idea of telling him that I had ordered some morning glory seeds from the internet, which he could eat. He proceeded to eat 250 of them, which ended up being a massive dose that rendered him completely unintelligible and totally cut off from reality. I just decided to tuck him into bed and turn off the lights and hope he just tripped out in his bed. Then I went back to my room. Approximately 20 minutes later my parents came upstairs because my brother was yelling at his CD player because he was trying to play Fat Joe but could not figure out how to work the thing because he was too out of it. They thought he was having a psychotic break and were about to take him to the hospital when I ran downstairs and spilled the beans about the seeds, which then prompted them to call poison control, who then automatically notified 911. The next thing I knew he was being taken away by an ambulance and I was forced to ride along with him to teach me a lesson. The next morning he was completely fine again. But that was a messy affair. But the duck-ups do not end there. After that event my parents sent me to a drug counselor who was regularly drug testing me. This is when I started experimenting more with DXM. And one day I had a leftover bottle of Robitussin which I gave to an acquaintance at school. This guy proceeded to drink the whole thing and ended up getting completely wasted. He made the mistake of telling some people I had given it to him, who then thought it would be funny to tell the school about it. That guy was out of it when they caught him, and the next thing I knew I was being expelled for distributing controlled substances. My parents were livid at this point and sent me to an outdoor wilderness program for at-risk youth for about 2 months. In the meantime it was discovered that the school had done some procedural irregularities with my expulsion. My parents, who are well off, ended up hiring an attorney and successfully defeated the expulsion. But it cost them on the order of $20,000. The wilderness program I was sent to also cost about the same amount. I turned 18 about 2 weeks after I got out of the wilderness program and worked out the deal with the school. So that was what my life was like at 17. My relationship with my parents was badly strained, and it took years for things to really recover with them. Luckily that year was my worst, and after that I managed to go on to college and then law school, and am now a practicing attorney with a wife and kids and a good relationship with my parents. My little brother ended up become a doctor. So it is possible to overcome these things. Having wealthy parents obviously helps though. Either way, I would have been much happier if my biggest duck up at age 17 was being caught looking at porn. When I was 21 my parents went out of town and asked me to house sit. This was 1995 and we had dial-up internet access through the college I went to and my dad worked at. I decided to watch some porn on their desktop computer. I was also writing a 60-page paper for my senior thesis. The porn crashed the computer beyond repair, taking the final draft of my thesis with it. I had saved the prior draft to a floppy disk. My dad was vice president of it at the college. He had 2 of his employees help him to try to recover the computer. They were not able to recover it, but they did find out what crashed it. Luckily my dad backed the computer up every month on floppy disks. But he had to have a conversation with me about how I crashed his computer. Not only did I use his dial-up connection and login, which kept track of sites visited in case of criminal activity, but I crashed his computer, which cost $1,000 to replace. I have to say that confiscating your phone and your laptop because you were horny is exaggerated. If your parents have not had sex some time ago, they would have never had you. And the same logic goes for your grandparents. Surely all of them were horny when they were at your same age. And blocking their kid from living his/her sexuality is dumb and self-righteous. Instead of blocking him/her, they should understand that their kid is not a toddler anymore. Approaching your sexual side is a part of adolescence that everyone has the entitlement to live peacefully. Precisely because it inevitably hits each one of us. We can choose only one thing, either to admit it or not. That is it. They are religious. Trying to bring sense and logic into a conversation about religious people is pointless. But I get what you are saying, and it's not wrong. Yeah, I cut out half of my entire family because of their blind to religion. No logic in conversations, but plenty of abuse and manipulation in those households. I've never looked back after I left almost 14 years ago. I don't even speak to my egg-donor mother because of all of the lies and crap she has spread about me to the family. She even tried to break into my house on my birthday and then had the audacity to tell the police I pulled a machete on her. I was packing my hiking pack for my birthday trip, and my son, who was 3 at the time, was coloring at the table. That put me between him and whoever came through the door without keys. So I grabbed my machete and brandished it over my head. Cops arrested and trespassed her for breaking and entering and falsifying a police report. My point is, if you have religious parents like OP, there's some crazy shit you have to deal with, like feeling guilty for beating your meat every time, envisioning heck as you climax because you are afraid you will get caught. Therapy is a lifesaver. So long as it was not anything illegal, I do not see what the issue is. My son is now in his 20s and the only thing I told him was that for the most part porn is not real life, and that he should not expect things in real life to be the way they are in porn. There is no point trying to hide from the fact that people watch porn, so you may as well educate adolescents. Remember porn existing when your parents and grandparents were younger. It just was not as readily accessible. You have however learned a valuable lesson about the appropriateness of timing your masturbation sessions. It is also a mistake you probably would not make again. Also remember that you have still got look forward to the moment when one of your parents walks in on you and your partner to see your naked ass bobbing up and down. It will happen if you do it at your parents' house. Wow. I'm 19 and my parents caught me watching porn twice. Once at 14 and once at 17. Never had even a single repercussion. This story makes me feel lucky. I mean, it is perfectly normal to watch porn and masturbate, especially at that age. Why should there even be a repercussion? The way I see it, you are extremely unlucky if you have parents that will punish you for being a human being. You are normal if you have parents that act like nothing happened when they catch you watching porn. And you are lucky if you have parents who will openly educate you about sex. Your family shaming a young man for exploring his sexuality at the age all young men do that. For what it is worth, they failed you, not the other way around. When I was a teenager, my mom yelled at me because I told her I was going to stay home on a Saturday morning when she wanted to go out to breakfast with me because she said I just wanted to pawn it up. If your parents really want to hire you for playing with yourself as a teenager, that calls into question why they are so sexually repressed. I mean, they made you somehow, did not they? By their own logic they are far dirtier than you. All I can say is you can either 1 let it cause you shame, or 2 when you turn 18 of course. Because minors shouldn't be watching that material. Legally at least embrace it, and let it empower you. Humans have natural desires, and it isn't shameful. Duckman, I got caught several times with really hardcore shit. And this was when I was what? 14. Worst they can do is ground you. Mahab spank you. But honestly it's fine. Don't worry about it, bud. Good luck on your exams though. Samsung Secure Folder is amazing for this. You can have 2 Google Chromes open and any other app, and it requires a password every time you log in. You can rename it also. I renamed it to Zip File Manager, and if anyone sees it and opens it, I just say that it is a Samsung thing that I set up a long time ago and do not remember. And when you can also turn it off where it keeps all your stuff, but it does not show up at all unless you go to settings. There are also apps that work like this that appear to be calculators. You have to enter a 6 code number like 592,039 and it only opens then. I recommend using something like that. Dude, I'm a 29-year-old woman and live on my own. One time just before covered ish, my dad went into my bedroom to say hi to my cat, who frequents the bed in there, and he rushed out super quickly, which I thought was weird. After he left I noticed my silver glittery dildo was clearly on the bedside table. Man, these things still happen as an adult and it's just as embarrassing. Just be assured you are not the only one, and it happens to us ladies too. Just wait for life to happen, and you will see how dark things can go. When I was 17, I was having a steamy AIM chat and forgot to delete my history. Before I know it, my mom calls me downstairs to talk to my stepdad. I get walked down to find that my parents had printed my conversation. My stepdad starts reading it to me, and I'm like, WTF. They installed a program on our computer that would allow them to see everything typed. Cause my parents have always been psychopath assholes. I typed a very nasty letter to my mom before deleting it. Obviously, the program found it and she was upset. I said, wow, I guess you should not have gotten a program that shows everything that was typed. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.